Welcome to another segment of AutoCrit's Coffee Break. My name is Bekah Brinkmeier, bestselling author and author coach here at AutoCrit, and I am thrilled to welcome you to this segment. I am here with Petek Mete. We are talking about her writing process and all of the things that we are working on right now. I am so excited about this. Would you like to introduce yourself to our audience and let us know a little bit about what you find interesting or fascinating about writing?
My little background, I am actually Turkish. I've been living in the United States since 1999, and I'm doing nothing related about writing. But when I was a kid, apparently, whoever asked me what I was going to be in the future, I said I'm going to be a writer. So I did journalism, I did accounting, I'm working in a bank, so on and so forth. It is nothing related with fiction writing, but I love the process. Um, my process starts with just a couple of sentences, then suddenly somebody finds a voice, then something else joins in, and suddenly it is like as if my fingers are working. And I'm just fascinated with what is happening in front of me. Do I plan on anything? Yeah, sometimes because I come to, the kind of a corner and I'm recognizing, okay, to get away from this corner, there's just two ways. Like I have to turn right, turn left, or go straight. And where am I going to go? So those kind of decisions are fun. Sometimes they are not fun. Um, I had the hardest time, for example, I'm working in my first fully finished novel. And yes, uh,
Congratulations.
and it is in English, it's not in Turkish.
Mhm.
In Turkish, I finished three books, but they were not published ever, So what happens is, that when I'm on that situation that I'm writing about, and when I'm stuck, I find it incredibly beautiful that I need to get away from it and I need to hear from people of my tribe, so to speak. And I'm so glad that I found it on AutoCrit.
Oh, we love to hear that. Oh my goodness. And massive props to you because it is hard enough for me. I am not, I wish I was, but I am not multilingual. I can communicate briefly in multiple languages, but not anything like actually helpful. So to be able to write a book and not just write one book, but write multiple books in two different languages, that is a huge accomplishment. And I just want to recognize that. I think that that doesn't get said very
It
often.
happened in a different time zone, so to speak.
Yes.
When I was quite young when I wrote them, if you read about them, you're going to be feeling like, oh my God, what dreadful stories they are.
No.
They are really, the incredibly serious, the no sense of humor, even if it's like, even in a drama, you can find sense of humor. Those ones didn't have any. And that's probably the reason why I never wanted to publish, because after a month passes and I read them after I finish, I didn't even want to edit them. So this time I
Sometimes that
want
is a
to edit.
sign to
So
set them aside for a little bit.
yeah, it
But
is good to marinate them for a while before you touch them back again. But in this time, I think, that there's always a time and a place for people. And I think I found my time and place. I think it was the
wonderful.
right time and right place because I attended the Gotham writing classes back when in New York.
Mhm.
And during that time, like in the 2000s, oh my God, everybody loved my stories, although my grammar was atrocious. And the way that I was writing sometimes, for example, I wrote it about the bathroom situation in the workplace. That was my short story, and it was enjoyed a lot.
So you've been writing, it sounds like your whole life. It's been a thing in different fashion or form. You have always been kind of drawn to telling a story and
Mm.
to specifically telling it through writing. You found us here at AutoCrit, and we are so happy to have you as a member of our AutoCrit Pro community. What is the project that you are in the midst of editing now, since you said you did finish your
Yeah.
draft. Tell us a little bit about this project.
So I started just writing, and suddenly it became a historical Victorian romance. But uh, aside from romance side of it, it is kind of like interesting actions as well. But I have a little bit of obsessive compulsive disorder. So as I'm writing it, I have to be true to my subject.
Mm-hmm.
So I start, the calculating how long does it take from one place to another, how long the trip should last. Basically calculating from Google Maps. And the lot of calculations goes over there. I don't want to go into that, the tiring subject. Or literally finding out during the Victorian time in that specific year, when was the Easter? During the Easter holiday, if people stayed in the time, in London, the town, or did they go to their country houses, or how did they go to country houses? And they come back. And when they come back, what happens next? Or, the season starts, season ends, actual time periods, and something happens when that happens. And specifically to the point that any kind of interesting laws that passed during that time. So I literally keep a journal on the side as if I'm living that period.
Oh, wow.
Why? Because I just want to make sure that it is reliable, like in whatever I'm writing, because this is something that if any one person reads and says that, this is wrong, this happened a year later, I would be disrespected to that person. I mean, regardless how frivolous what I'm writing is, I should at least pay attention to those kind of details so that if that person picks up that kind of a person, they would recognize that I thought of them when I was writing this.
No, I have spent so much time and money on historical fiction. I do love my Regencies. I love my Victorians. I, as you know, am a romance author, so I have definitely read my fair share of. It's where I started actually was Joanna Lindsay's Mallory brothers in the steamy romance side of things with the dukes and the duchesses and all kinds of things
Mm.
way back when, probably earlier than I should have been reading those, but that's neither here nor there. One of the things that I absolutely love is the level of detail, and historical fiction readers do expect there to be a level of detail that is accurate. A lot of us have specific time eras that we really like to read in, which means that whether we intentionally researched it or not, some of
Mhm.
those details we get to know very well. So we know if they're missing or we know if they're incorrect. I know that I have read books where actual historical events were not attributed to the right year. And that is never a good sign. So I really appreciate, as a reader of historical fiction, I very much appreciate the level of detail you're going into for this research. That's fantastic. More of that, please. Um, so as you're writing this fun historical book and you're here in AutoCrit, what do you use AutoCrit for in your writing process?
I started on November to AutoCrit, and that was the time I started writing actually, because I said, what the heck? I found my tribe back again, so why don't I, enjoy it? So while I'm writing it. Then I got one of those like how to use the AutoCrit.
Mhm. The
And
AutoCrit 101 series.
exactly. And I listened and I'm like, okay, fine. But meanwhile, I'm catching up all those interviews, all these, the fun stuff that's happening. Then one day I said, I was watching 101 again. And I said, hey, why don't I, I'm about to finish. Why don't I put this here? I was expecting something awful. So I pushed it in and it was so complimentary. The market analysis, all these analysis came back and oh my God, do you know how much passive I used? Much less than any other historical fiction. I was like, wow, like this is what I wanted. I wanted an action. I didn't want some passive voice going all through the story because it's historical fiction. And I'm like, oh my God, I did it. And yes, there was a lot of past tense sentences, not too much present. I was like so relieved that I did those kind of things. And I was able to actually give the message from market analysis from what I gathered. And I'm like, wow, I mean, I did something. That was amazing for me. I was so proud of myself. Now,
It's
hopefully,
so
second year,
validating
I'm gonna
sometimes.
get. No, I was honestly because maybe so I always tell people, oh, I'm open to criticism. But inside of me, I'm like, please, please, please don't criticize me. And I was expecting something bad, honestly. And coming out like that, it was like amazing balm to my soul, so to speak.
I'm so glad. I feel the same way. I like to say I have a thick skin after this many years of publishing. However, it still doesn't mean that if I get hypercritical feedback, especially from one of my human beta readers, that I'm just like that doesn't feel personal at times. Even though I know it's not personal, it's about the story. It's hard for me to turn that off. And that's one of the things I love about the story analyzer is that I'm getting objective feedback. It's going to tell me if I left a plot thread open. And that's good. I need it to tell me that so that I can fix it. But it's not going to make me feel bad about it. And conversely, if I did something well, it's going to pull that out so I can say, oh, my book does meet genre conventions. My tropes that I wanted in there are the ones that it pulled out. The themes that it identified are what I intended to put in there. That is intensely validating, especially if it's like 4 a.m. and you haven't slept in a while and you've been frantically writing this book.
And on each, like, from the basically the writing times, that's online, like you're going and like you're writing with your fellow writers to, just listening someone talking about their experience to one-on-one sessions. Uh, I'm getting a great benefit and I really enjoy it.
We love to hear that. I love leading our writing sprints. We're just writing in
Sometimes
community.
it's, for example, last couple of weeks, because my work was really heavy, I was not really too much on the sprints and, I stayed away. But last week, Friday, I'm like, no, I'm gonna sit down today because I needed that. And interestingly enough, I'm not like, I start writing this short story currently, for example, and I
Mm-hmm.
mentioned to a friend, and she's like, oh my God, that's so funny. So, and I started writing it on AutoCrit because I want to get away from this Victorian historical fiction
Mm-hmm.
in order to ease my mind. So far, the market analysis says it is really fun.
Yay!
So it is
See?
going to be probably the short story or a novella, but it helps me to do these kind of whimsical things too. To tell me like, that I just come up with an idea, I typed it, and when I make the analysis, it tells me like, okay, go ahead, there's something here, which is like, sometimes you cannot force people to read your stuff, especially
That's
people
true.
around you. And sometimes you need these kind of, the okay, go ahead, do it kind of a push. And so it's like again, like, the AutoCrit gave me this people kind of like this AI became my beta reader who's telling me, okay, you should go on with this, they're encouraging me. My tribe, you guys are telling me like, it's okay to be crazy. So I write this ridiculous stuff, even like, the outrageous things. And I also like to be funny. And when it's, the AutoCrit AI tells me it is funny, that means I did my job, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak. Like what I was thinking, I was able to put it in the paper.
No, I will always be captain of Team Whimsy over here. Like, I will be the first person to be like, I think you should write the wild thing. That's me. That's my hype right there. Because that is my branding. A lot of it. I write kind of ridiculous rom-coms.
Mm.
I write funny shifters, like the weird shifters. I write all kinds of things like that. because it brings me joy and because I like to think my books are not for everyone, and that's okay. But
Mhm,
in this time, I want people to have an escape that is absolutely absurd. I want people to forget about whatever heavy things that they're carrying, and we're all carrying something. I want them to put that aside just for a minute
mhm,
and enjoy something that makes them remember the whimsy. It makes them remember a lighter time, perhaps, where it didn't feel like the weight of the world was on your shoulders. Instead, you can fall headfirst into a silly story that's
mhm,
probably not going to stress you out. Like, that is my goal as an author,
mhm.
is to create that experience.
You're coming from that point of view, and I'm coming from my, the origins point of view, because
Hmm.
uh, the stories I would tell you in about like, that happened in Turkey or this, that.
Hmm.
And when you have a big family like mine, there's always something happening there.
Oh my goodness.
So this is like, it is kind of whatever I'm writing, they're all plausible because somewhere, somehow those happened, you know. On my, the fiction, I'm writing about these weird characters because I know something like that happened.
Oh my goodness. Well, this has been a fantastic session, and I am so happy that you came on to talk to us today. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me back. I just want to say one more thing.
Of
Today taught
course.
me that life is short and precious. Please do whatever you feel like. If there's something that you wanted to write, write it. If you say that, okay, I'm gonna do it tomorrow, try to do it today. So it was a hard day for me, but I think this is the message I got today.
It is beautifully said and something that we should all remember.
Definitely. And thank you again for having me back. I really appreciate it.
It was a pleasure again, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Thank you.